Thank you for tuning into the Bully Pew Podcast, brought to you by none other than Protestia.com, where you can always go to find the latest in Christian polemics and discernment news. Sign up for the insightful news blast and support us financially over at patreon.com/Protestia. Become an insider supporter, ad-free browsing on the website. More direct access to questions and conversation and whatnot. I wanted to talk to everybody about what my last article was really about. I tend to pride myself, not sinfully of course, but pride myself on being clear with what I write. So basically under the principle or the knowledge, or I guess the guiding standard that whatever we put online, especially as a publisher, will be there in perpetuity, and it needs to be as defensible years from now as it is in the moment, which is really, that's very much a big part of what the article was about. And ironically, I think I failed at that a little bit by basically announcing at the end that, look, don't want to participate in this anymore, which left a few people asking, well, what does that mean? Are you guys shuttering Protestia? Are you stepping down, not doing any work, won't be doing any work there anymore? Exactly what's going on. The answer is, and I hate to string it along, but the answer is we're not entirely sure yet. But some recent developments, sort of in the online ministerial world, maybe you'd say, or the discernment polemics world to an extent, or some of the things going on in the conversation, including, of course, our friend and brother, J.D. Hall, writing a book with Texas pastor Joel Webbin. We have some concerns about that. And really, but the I guess the bigger primary concern, the more fundamental concern with it all is, are we, and I speak for myself, I guess, especially, but this could probably rightly apply to a lot of other folks who are at least engaged and involved and participating in some way, whether institutionally, kind of like we are or not, but just involved. What exactly is it that we're involved in? What is the actual nature of what's going on here? This is, it is kind of, in a way, it's kind of complicated, because we are in sort of a new media environment. So, the generations that came before us, probably in some ways, they debated and argued over probably a lot of the same things that we do, but it was much slower moving, and it didn't feel like it had the same, day-to-day sort of displacing impact on our lives. All right. So you rewind the clock 50 years, 75 years, middle of the 20th century, and there are still Christian publications, and there are political publications, and there are things going on, and there are, dinner table discussions and discussing stuff with your buddies at church or whatnot. All that still existed, but it wasn't as fast moving with as the sort of the low, ironically, the temporary stakes that the internet seems to offer, where it's like, okay, this communication, and it's a paradox, right? The communication exists forever, or at least potentially does. It can exist forever. And yet at the same time, it's so easy to do. And it's so the barrier for entry is so low that you have simultaneously communication, interaction that lasts forever, and the potential to engage in it with very little forethought, very little consideration, very little interpersonal investment. You engage in this communication with people you don't know,